Slamdy, Agro, Slamdy, Agro, Slamdy, hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. We should know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome, episode 619 of the Talking Ferries podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here. It is July 25th, 2024. The Padres, they've won 5 in a row. They just swept the Nats, not just this series, but a season series sweep of the Washington Nationals. 619, episode 619. That's pretty good for this episode. Dylan Cease with the Padres, his first no-hitter, the Padres' second no-hitter in franchise history. And it's happened to two pretty darn good guys. Joe Musgrove, obviously from San Diego, and then Dylan Cease, someone who has been pretty close a couple of times in his career with the White Sox, comes over to a team that's actually trying to win, and he gets a moment that he's never going to forget with this no-hitter. So a lot to talk about, not just this no-hitter, but this entire series. Comments, questions, put them in the chat. Super chats are welcome and very appreciated. Thank you all for the time that you're giving me here on this Thursday night or Friday morning, whenever you're listening to this on podcast platforms, whatever. But yeah, I already gave my initial instant reaction to this, but just to sum it up, I mean, it was an amazing game to watch. I mean, it happened fast considering the rain delay, right? It was supposed to start a little bit after 9 a.m. our time, but the rain delay was for what? It was over an hour, I think around an hour and a half. They resumed at around 10:30 a.m. and the game was over, 12:30, something like that. It was a pretty darn quick game, obviously, because it's a no-hitter. 2:06 was the game time, an hour and 16-minute delay. Over 20,000 was the attendance, and they got a show for sure. As Padres fans, when I haven't seen it personally in person at Petco, another team throw a no-hitter against us, but I know that Padres fans have, and that can't be a great feeling. But when you're on the other side of things, it's an amazing feeling. And this was another one of those, right? It's been a couple over the last 4 games where they've had a no-hitter deep into the game. This one obviously gets completed. It was another one where I wasn't really thinking about the no-hitter because I care about winning. And I was just like, okay, Dylan Cease, he's being efficient. He's at this many pitches through 6 innings, 7 innings. I only thought about it once Dawn said it, once the graphic was put up on the TV broadcast. That's when I was like, okay, here we go. And then the 7th inning comes, and I posted the video of Dylan Cease is him. Cease talking to Schilt and Niebla. Joe Musgrove was standing right there. The whole dugout's looking at them, having a conversation. It seemed like he was done. He was at 94 pitches. I care more about Dylan Cease being healthy long-term for the Padres than getting the no-hitter, especially because we already have a no-hitter, and it was the best guy to ever, if I'm going to pick someone to have the first no-hitter, it's Joe Musgrove. So I didn't really care about the no-hitter. You want it for the human, Dylan Cease, but I care more that he's good for the postseason and he's good for the rest of this season to help this Padres team get into the postseason, especially when he's pitching this well. But it seemed like he was done. I mean, for anyone that was getting on me on social media, I haven't replied to anyone, but I guess here's my reply. If you were listening to the video that I posted, Don was literally saying that it appears that Dylan's done here, getting handshake line in the dugout. It seemed like he was done. Then I post the video, and obviously right after they show him in the dugout with his glove, and he's still sitting in the dugout right next to Campy, and it's like, all right, well, no, he's not done. He's still in. Heads back out there. 8th inning gets the job done. 9th inning. Well, 8th inning, by the way, first off, earlier in the game, you had the Xander missed pop-up. It was a tough play. I don't want to make it seem like it was easy. But he's running out to center. Jackson's running in. Bogaerts bobbles it, and Merrill's right there and quick reaction, makes the catch. And you have to have some of those plays. It feels like every no-hitter, maybe not a weird play like that, but it's a diving play, an amazing catch, something. And a line driver, like, oh, is that going to drop in? Is that going to be a gapper? And it's not. So there was that. Then Xander makes a sliding play in the 8th inning, and he bobbles it. He's falling to the ground, and he knows the no-hitter's on the line. He has to throw it as he's falling down, gets it over to first base. Thank goodness he was playing second base, and he was that close to first, or else the no-hitter probably would have been gone. Because I don't think that they would have – maybe they would have called that an error on Bogaerts because he had – yeah, they probably would have because he fielded it. It's not like he didn't field it. He messed up on the bobble part. He was on the transfer, I should say. That's where he was bobbling it there and lost the grip. There was that, and then C.J. Abrams, I think it was Abrams, right? The final out. He hit it pretty well, and I was like, oh, no. You know, Bryce Johnson's in right. I know he's known for the defense. He's definitely not here for his offense. But I'm like, oh, that might find something. And it held up. It stayed up. So, I don't know. Thank the weather for that. I don't know. But it was an amazing performance from Dylan. He was going slider heavy first time around. Then he was going with the fastball. And like Mud was saying on the broadcast, when he's going slider like that, 40% plus whiff rate at one point in this game. He was using the slider, I think, over 40% of the time as well. You throw that fastball, you keep pumping 98, 100. He was hitting 100 in like the 8th inning. I know a lot of that was probably adrenaline, but you pump fastball, that doesn't look like 98. That probably looks like 103, 104 to the batters, and that could be a difference. James Wood was a statue a little bit during this game. He was probably looking for the slider, and then Cease, one of the at-bats, just 98. Here, hit it. Fastball, hit it. And he didn't. But just an overall great game, obviously. I think a lot of fans would say, like, that's the game of the year because it's a no-hitter. Like, how can you get better than that? It's definitely up there for me. I think it would be if it was the Padres' first no-hitter. But when you come back from down 8 runs to beat the Cubs at home, Tatis has a big moment. The Manny walk-off homer, the Profar game, and Manny had the homer right after the whole Profar thing. There was the Profar walk-off the night before. I think if it was at home, like the Padres have never had a no-hitter at home. If it would be at home, maybe I'd change it, but I'd probably actually not, to be honest, have the no-hitter as the most memorable moment from this Padres season so far for me. And I think that's not a knock on Dylan Cease or this performance at all. For me, it's more of like there's comeback wins here. There's wins against the Dodgers. 8-0 down, you come back and win that game. Walk-offs at home, like stuff like that. 3 consecutive walk-offs in a row, stuff like that where I'm like, well, Merrill had the walk-off homer against Mason Miller, like stuff like that, those games like that. It's more of this team has exciting, fun wins, kind of like 2022, where we didn't say a whole lot like that last year. By the way, through 104 games last year, this team was 50-54. Through 104 games this year, 54-50. They're now 105 games in, and so they're 5 games over 500. Obviously, this Padres team is guaranteed at least winning record at the time of the All-Star break, because there's only 3 games left before the All-Star break, because I believe there's that day off Monday and then just 2 games against the Dodgers, Tuesday and Wednesday. And Tuesday, trade deadline's at 3 p.m. Pacific time. The Dodger game doesn't start till 6:40, I think, right? So Padres are sitting in a good spot. Obviously I can be, Debbie Downer and be like, well, imagine if they would have won some of these winnable games earlier this year where they would be. But 5 games over 500, 5 wins in a row. I'm liking it. Going into Baltimore, remember, this is the tough stretch. This was supposed to be the tough stretch for the Padres. And Baltimore and LA is coming up, so I don't want to make it seem like they're going to breeze through them because they might not. But this was supposed to be that tough stretch. You had the Guardians, like best team in the AL. The Nats, they fight, right? Orioles, Dodgers, and so far, the Padres are what? 5-1 in the 6 games so far on this road trip. Took 2 out of 3 against Cleveland, swept the Nats. Got Baltimore coming up and then back home. It's a much better road trip than I was thinking it was going to be. And I believe in this Padres team, but, you know, before the All-Star break, right, there was inconsistencies on offense. Didn't know what I don't think we were expecting the starting rotation to pitch this well. Wasn't expecting a no-hitter. Vasquez pitched well, too. Wasn't expecting this. 20 innings, 2 earned runs in the Cleveland series, and Cleveland is one of the best teams in baseball. I don't think that we were expecting this. So, great series. The Padres offense, yeah, we could talk about that, like how Corbin pretty much didn't allow the Padres to do anything after that first inning. But what matters is the Padres won the game. That's what I care about. Again, like as I said earlier, I cared more about doing Cease and his health long term. I cared about winning this game more than the no hitter. But I think largely that's because we've already had a no hitter. We already have that box checked, which is great. We don't have to be going into these games hoping for a no hitter. But obviously, you love the no hitter for the human being in Dylan Cease, right? But yeah, just pretty much. I mean, we can nitpick, but this is what you wanted. I don't care how they win these games, win the games, and that's exactly what this Padres team is doing right now. And they're in a good spot. And we'll see what happens coming up before the trade deadline. I did want to get into the other 2 games of this series and give some shine to some other guys because obviously Dylan Cease is the man of the hour. By the way, Ha-Seong Kim came through to make it 3-0, cleared the bases on that ball and let James Wood, didn't he try to dive for that ball? I don't know what he was doing there in left field. I don't think he's the strongest defender. And that showed in that first inning. But, tough circumstances for Patrick Corbin. I mean, Dylan Cease, sure, he warmed up in the pen and then he waited for an hour and a half to go out for the bottom of the first. Patrick Corbin, though, had to start the top of the first, then have the long delay. It was bases loaded and 2 outs, and the umpire was like, nope, got to put the tarp on the field. Couldn't finish the top of the first. Ended up working out for the Padres, but for Patrick Corbin, not so much. Although he obviously, settled in after that. And that's really what Matt Waldron did yesterday. Padres won that one 12-3. Matt Waldron gave up all of his hits in the first inning. 4 hits yesterday. Couple of walks, 4 punch-outs, gave up a homer on that knuckleball that was like middle of the plate. But he ends up going 6 innings still. It still ends up being a quality start. 6 innings, 3 earned runs or less. And he went 6 innings, 3 earned runs. ERA 3.64. He continues to be reliable in this Padres rotation. And everyone this time around in the Padres rotation pitched well. They did their job. And the Padres, again, so far this road trip, 5-1. I'm going to take that every day of the week. I don't care who you're playing. On the road, you go 5-1. So far, I am taking that. Now, 3 games against Baltimore, obviously. But, I mean, what an offensive outburst, right? The bullpen, shout out to them, Matsui, Gillespie, De Los Santos, didn't give up any runs. But to get on Parker went 3 innings, 6 earned runs. Waldron, he gets punched, but then the Padres punch back. A lot of contributions from a lot of guys. Go look at the box score from yesterday. Arise 2 hits. Solano had a hit as a pinch hitter. Profar 2 hits. Bogaerts 4 hits. 4 for 4 day. I'll get to him here in a second. Manny 2 hits. Crony had a hit. Kim was the only guy that didn't get a hit yesterday, and he still scored 3 runs. Merrill 4 hits. Higgy 3 hits. Johnson even had a hit. Bogey and Merrill had those 4 hits. Homers from Profar, from Higgy. Arise had an RBI single. That made it 3-2 at the time. Profar's homer made it 4-3, gave the Padres the lead that they would never give back. Top of the third, Higgy had a double, made it 5-3. Sack bunt from Bryce Johnson, which was expected, made it 6-3. Merrill scored there. Top 4, Crony, RBI single. brought in a couple of runs, made it 8-3. Merrill with the triple, dove in. He was a homer shy of the cycle, just wasn't meant to be. But Nats Park has been good, as I said in my post-game reaction today. It's been good to Padres and having those great accomplishments. No hitter today from Cease. Jake Cronenworth a few years back after the All-Star break. I think it was their first series after the All-Star break where he had that cycle and the Padres just smashed the Nats. I believe that was that Soto was still with the Nats. I think Soto homered in that game that Croney had that cycle. Could be wrong on that, but I think that was like the only Nats highlight there. But Nats Park has been good to the Padres. Merrill with that triple, hustling in there. Higgy with the homer, made it 11-3. Manny with the double in the top of the fifth. Bogey scored, made it 12-3. No runs were scored off of Ildemaro, I think is his first name. Vargas. That dude. His pitching was wild. I think that gave fans a laugh. And Croney almost took the dude's head off. I mean, he was mixing up the speeds to his pitches, though. So, hey, you want to play like that? Then we can play like that. But yeah, fun night. And I wanted to highlight Merrill and Bogaerts. Kevin Acee in his Padres Daily, I thought he put it well about Jackson Merrill not going on these big slumps. Usually the best guys in baseball, right, the most complete hitters, if they go into a slump, which they will, it's not as big of a slump as the rest of the league. Merrill it's been up and down, but it hasn't been a 40-game stretch. First 11 games, hit 233. Then next 15 games, hit 382. Next 6 games, didn't get a hit. Next 12 games, 359 average. Then next 16 games, 200 average. Next 24 games, 352 average. Next 12 games, 152 average. Then 4 games going into today, 471 average. So it's a lot of up down. It's not great, but then hitting 300, 400. Not great, hit 300, 350, getting on base. That's the complete hitters there. It's not a 40-game slump. And when he's going on those slumps, those Merrill slumps, he is still putting together good at-bats. He's probably striking out more than he usually does. There was that one time, right, where he struck out 5 straight at-bats, something like that. But then he bounced back pretty much immediately. He has those good at-bats. He's putting the ball in play. That last at-bat that he had last night when he could have had a homer for the cycle, he at one point in his head was like, I'm going for a single here. You got to keep that same approach because he doesn't want to lose that approach, trying to go deep, and then you carry that into the next game, and then that's where you can, go south bad, pretty quick, right? So, Jackson Merrill, the backup with Xander on the play, today to preserve that no-hitter, which will be remembered, for the rest of Padres history. Like, little things like that. Like I said in my post-game reaction today, baseball player. He is a baseball player. And hopefully you know what I mean by that. Just taking good at-bats. Fundamental baseball. Doing the little things. And I appreciate that. I don't know if every Padres fan, pays super close attention to that. But even if you don't, I feel like you have recognized that. I think we've all recognized that at some point this year. And then Xander is another guy I wanted to hit on. Guy has a hit in, I think, 7 of his last 8 games, 5-game hitting streak, multiple hits during this hitting streak. He's not hitting for power like home runs, but I really don't care if he's hitting like this. If he's getting on base every game, with the lineup, the guys that are in front, they're usually getting on base, guys behind him that can drive him in. I'm not going to sit here and be complaining about Xander Bogaerts if he's, hitting 300, 400 like he is right now since coming off the IL, right? Just not going to do it. Sorry. You guys can nitpick that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. He's not going all out with this swing. I did see that, I think, in Kevin's daily newsletter today, where, just mentally he doesn't want to do that. He's not diving. It's a mental thing. Doctors have said he's good, but just mentally it's going to take him some time to get over that thing because of the shoulder, obviously, just to get through that. And It's going to take that one dive where he's just not thinking about it and he has to do it for him to be like, oh, I just dove. All right, I'm good. It's just going to take that one big swing to be like, oh, no, I'm good. Because he's not doing the two-handed finish. But he is kind of like Luis Arising his way through it right now. I think that was mentioned, which he's fine with. He'll take it, and I am definitely going to take it. When he's hitting for average like this, I'm not going to sit here and be like, Xander, you got to hit more homers. Sure, we'd like it, but the Padres are winning right now, and Xander is contributing to that. Definitely contributing to that. He's getting on base. I'm pulling up. So, like today, by the way, he went 1 for 3, scored a run. I just want to pull up his game logs here since he came back from the IL. And I'm pretty sure I said, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Xander did go on a heater kind of like this, because when he comes off the IL, usually he's feeling good and he plays well. He came off the IL, so July 12th, 2 hits. I'm just going through the amount of hits that he's had in each game since. 2 hits, July 12th. Then 2 hits, no hits, 2 hits, 2 hits, 2 hits, 4 hits, 1 hit. 1 game since coming off the IL that he doesn't have a hit. That's it. His average has risen from 219, which was that last day when he suffered that injury. 219, it's up to 256. His on bases was 265. It's now up to 299, almost to 300. So he's going on a heater. It seems like he's staying within himself. So loving what I'm seeing there. So I know I'm kind of jumping a little bit all over the place here. Padres won yesterday 12-3. Just Profar is another guy I should hit on. 10 runs driven in after yesterday's game. Yeah, so he didn't drive any runs today. 10 RBIs this year against the Washington Nationals. Obviously, we know the walk-off and the grand slam that he hit after the whole Keibert Ruiz stuff. That game. And then the homers, multiple homers that he hit during this series. You know, Pedro Martinez, when he said, when was that? 2003, 2004? At that press conference, you know, Yankees fans were chanting, "Who's your daddy?" And he's like, no. That was after what Pedro Martinez said. Pedro said, I guess you got to call him my daddy, something like that. And then the next night, Yankees fans obviously start chanting, or the next time Pedro's on the mound, who's your daddy? That's what it is with Profar right now. That's immediately what I thought of when I saw that he had 10 RBIs against the Nats in this series, or in the season series, I should say, this season so far. And, you know, listening to the Nats broadcast when Profar did something, and they're just like, come on. They're not saying it, but you can hear it in their voice, like, come on, can you stop doing this? This is unbelievable. But, you know, like I wrote on Gaslamp Ball the other day, the Padres, they're making it very easy on AJ Preller. You know, last year, there was a lot of questions. I remember going on John and Jim outside Petco one day, and they were asking, you know, buy or sell before the deadline. And I'm like, they've had their time to prove that they deserve reinforcements. I don't think they should. I think they should take advantage of Snell and Hader. You know, it's just not going to happen this year. Go get something back. They didn't do it. They end up making fringe additions. G-Man Choi got like 2 hits the entire time with the Padres, and it was like the last game that he played with the Padres when they were already out of it against the White Sox in Chicago last year. Rich Hill, they were relying on him. Rich Hill, who was like 47 or something. That's what it feels like. It was probably more like 42, but really old, and they were relying on him facing like the Dodgers. It's like, what are we doing here? Garrett Cooper, I don't really have negative things to say there, but like, I don't think they deserve to get those reinforcements last year. This year, there's no question. It's not buy or sell. It's how much are they going to buy? Who are they going to buy? Preller's going to buy. This team deserves it. The comeback victories, the manager and Preller seems like they're on the same page. The players want to win. I don't see, you know, a bunch of give up in this team. I don't see terrible at bats all over the place. You know, They're 5 games over 500, right there in the wild card race, without Joe Musgrove, without Yu Darvish, Jeremiah Estrada, the whole illness thing that he was dealing with. No Tatis. They're without Xander Bogaerts for a long period of time. Manny wasn't healthy for a significant period of time. Who knows if he even is. He's playing third base consistently now, so that's good. Arise with the jam thumb. Campy was out for a little bit. Who else am I blanking on? Just they've had guys have to step up. Profar is proving it's not a 2-month fluke. Merrill is proving he's here for real. There's guys that are proving, like Dylan Cease, obviously, the starts that he has had. I know it was rocky, but it's like, nope, this is Dylan Cease. Michael King, he's being consistent and someone that I think the Padres can rely upon. I'm not even thinking about the innings limit because he's healthy. He's good. As long as that's good, then you keep pitching him. Matt Waldron's, I think, proven so far. It's been a pretty good sample size now that he can be relied upon to at least keep you in games. So starting pitching, some bullpen. That's what's happening here with the Padres. It's not a question of if the Padres were by. It's a question of how much. Who will they go get? That's what it is. But yeah, 10 RBIs against the Nats. Xander, Merrill, impressive in this series. Donovan Solano, though, is someone that I wanted to touch on. I mean, I'll touch on him after talking real quick about this Padres 4-0 victory in Game 1 of the series. Profar provided power. Luis Arise with a homer as well. 2-0 there. And then in the 6th, Merrill with an RBI single makes it 3-0. And then he had a ground out, just doing his job, makes it 4-0. And Randy Vasquez, one of the stories of that game there on, when was this, Tuesday? 6 innings, no runs, 4 hits, no walks. Didn't strike out really anyone, 1 strikeout. But if you're going to deliver 6 innings and no runs, I'd prefer you strike out nobody. 1 guy, then strike out 9, and you give up a couple of runs, right? It's a results-based business. We want the best results. And then after Vasquez, Morejon, Estrada, Suarez, your 3 high-leverage reliever guys. We'll see if the Padres add someone else to be a part of that group. They combined for 3 innings, no runs, 3 strikeouts, no walks. Awesome. Awesome stuff. So that's just one of those yep, this was a great Padres victory, something that you want every night. Just nice and easy. You don't want your high-leverage guys in there every night, but, shutout victory. Your starter gives you a quality start, better than a quality start, especially when we're considering that Randy Vasquez is not really their 4th starter, but he has to be right now. And then you had a couple homers. You had guys not trying to do too much. Solid win. Now, Donovan Solano, I wanted to hit on him because, this series, just really since Xander came back, he hasn't been playing too much. He was in the lineup today, but I think some maybe were expecting him to play a little bit more because there were lefties consistently in this series. But the question is, who are you going to take out? The Padres aren't going to take out Jake Cronenworth. He's an everyday player. It's like when Bogaerts was struggling, they're not going to take Bogaerts out all the time, even if the matchups say you should maybe, because it's Xander Bogaerts. He's an everyday player. You got to trust that he's going to get through it. And Croney, he's not hitting as well as Solano is against lefties, but who is that guy? You're not taking Manny out. You're not taking Bogaerts out, not taking Cronenworth out, not taking Luis Arise out. So that leaves Ha-Seong Kim. But the Padres probably don't want to put Bogaerts just because a lefty's on the mound. They don't want to put Bogaerts at short every time a lefty's on the mound because they did that whole thing of moving Bogaerts to second base and saying, hey, you're at second base now, and Kim's at short. I think if the situation calls for it, late in a game when you need runs, then Solano pinch hits. But yeah, I can sit here and be like, well, cool, Donovan Solano's alive. I can complain that he's not getting enough at-bats with the way that he's swinging the bat this year for this Padres team. But you got to find a place for him, Arise is DHing. You're not putting Solano out there in right field. So for me, I'm looking at it as Padres have won 5 games in a row. They're 5 games over 500. It is a luxury to have Donovan Solano on the bench and being able to be a pinch hitter. There was an article that was written by Bryce Miller in the San Diego Union Tribune about Donovan Solano and him saying that he wants to stay put. Ha-Seong Kim was talking to Bryce Miller as well. And Bryce was not saying that Donovan Solano, like the Padres are talking with other teams about trading Donovan Solano. It's just one of those topics that Bryce Miller actually brought up. He wrote about it, saying that the Padres should consider trading Donovan Solano if they can get back to pitching. And I would rather go the prospect route to get pitching than give up a valuable guy that's succeeding with you. It's a valuable bat for the Padres. Injuries can happen. We've seen injuries this year where it might just help for a couple of games to put someone on the bench if they're hurt, but it's not a 10-day thing. Put them on the bench. You can have Donovan Solano be in the lineup, and he can serve in that spot. Trading Ha-Seong Kim, well, then you have Bogaerts playing shortstop every day. What if something happens there? Then, like Kim is valuable to me. I know he's not the best offensive player on the team or anything like that, but he's valuable to me with his versatility. Solano doesn't go play shortstop. Kim can play short. He can play second. He can play third. He can do a lot of different things for you. Solano can also do that. So for me, I'd rather just keep Solano. Solano, by the way, said every option is on the table, but I want to stay here. I want to help this team go to the playoffs, go to the World Series. If it's going to be here, if it's going to be another team, who knows? So he wants to stay here. I think he sees that the Padres are a contending team. If he's traded somewhere, it's probably to another contending team because Solano's on a 1-year deal, right? So I don't think it would be like this terrible situation if he gets traded. I'm saying for him. But I would prefer to just keep the depth. The Padres have a good bench right now. Bryce Johnson, we can nitpick, right? But for me, you have a bench of Campy as your backup catcher, and I'm seeing some encouraging things there. Caught the no-hitter today for Cease. Obviously, so that catching combo, I like that with Higgy and Campy right now. And then on the bench, you've got Solano, you've got David Peralta, you've got Tyler Wade. I like Tyler Wade, what he can bring. You want the defensive, the speed versatility, you have that in Tyler Wade. You want the infield, more of a power bat versatility, you have that in Solano. And you want that as well from the left side for the outfield. You have that in Peralta. And you want that defensive guy, someone that could play center field if something happens to Merrill. You have that in Bryce Johnson. So, or you have it in Jose Zokar if they want to go with the Zokar over Bryce Johnson at some point. I like where the Padres bench is at. Tercer Ornelas, he's playing well, but I think the Padres, they just would rather stick with Ornelas' depth, and I think they like the bench situation that they have right now. And so Solano, I don't think that he's going anywhere. I have not seen the Padres rumored to be talking with other teams about Donovan Solano and trading Solano for pitching. If that's how they can get pitching, I don't think I'm going to be like super pissed off about it. Like, oh man, they traded Solano. It would be a bummer. Again, I'd rather have them trade from the prospect capital they have, the farm system, than to trade a guy that's helped you. I'd like to have Tommy Pham, to be honest, and I don't know if he'd be playing every day. He probably wants to play every day, but I'm not going to close that door either to further improve the bench there. So, yeah, I mean, I like where the depth is at. And Donovan Solano, in an ideal world, you want to have him have more at-bats. Like, could we have 2 DHs? Could we have Solano hit for Bryce Johnson? Like, in an ideal world, that's what we would want, but it's not. It's a good thing to have Donovan Solano be able to be coming off the bench. I will say that. So, again, haven't heard trade rumors about it. It's just Bryce Miller wrote that the Padres should consider trading Solano if it brings back pitching. And Kim, the value, it's not where it was this past offseason, and he provides some stuff that Donovan Solano doesn't. So that's the Donovan Solano talk that I wanted to have. There's also a Joe Musgrove update. I feel like I have a Joe Musgrove update for every show, which is good because he's progressing. Kevin Acee wrote, Joe Musgrove threw more than 40 pitches, used his full arsenal at full intensity in his bullpen session on Wednesday. His return is expected in the latter half of August, which lines up with the timeline that we've thought for weeks now. So for me, it's encouraging that he's using his full arsenal. It's not like it doesn't seem like he's throwing a breaking ball at the end of the session. No, it's like he's actually ramping up now fully. So that's good. There's talk about him pitching to hitters for his next time around, and that might be able to shave a week off of his rehab timeline, which is what I want. Like I'd want him back as soon as possible when he's healthy, when he's fully ready to go. Joe's a competitor. He wants to be back as soon as possible. I hope that they save him from himself. If he's, really wanting to rush back. Joe's a smart guy. I'm not saying like he's trying to get back at all costs and being dumb about it. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm just saying if the training staff thinks like at any point Joe is just dying to get out there, let's slow it down a little bit, The rotation's pitching well. Hopefully there's going to be at least one guy coming in that can help improve this rotation's depth. And so Adam Major won't be the 5-starter. I believe he's starting in Baltimore, by the way. But it seems like Joe is going in the right direction. There's time here. If latter half of August is when it's going to be, let's have it be the latter half of August. Let's have it be the last week of August or whatever. Let's not have it be mid-August and we're rushing things and then something pops up because Joe has dealt with elbow, he's dealt with shoulder. It's been an issue. So let's get him back where he is fully good to go and he's not rushing things here. But when reading Kevin's article, it seems like the Padres are super encouraged by what they're seeing from Joe Musgrove and the bullpen that he threw. So that's great news. It was interesting. The wording from Kevin, and I'll get to it here in a moment because I'm waiting for it to load here. But the wording from Kevin about like how excited everyone was, that's great. But it also is a bullpen session. So hopefully the excitement, I don't want to say temper it, but hopefully the excitement comes to a fruition, meaning like hopefully he is going to be back and there are no setbacks going forward here and everything's going to be just fine. All right, quick break as I wait for this article to load. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. All right. Sorry for the video audience if you can see me and it maybe looks like I'm sweating or something. I'm doing this in the garage and it's freaking hot right now. Musgrove article's still loading, so I'm going to get to the chat here. Reminder about some of the other great partners of the show as well, by the way. Breaking Tea, Padres, Aztecs, shirts and sweatshirts. Aztecs football going to get underway here in a little bit. Pretty close. And then obviously, I think Breaking Tea is coming out with some Dylan C stuff after the no-hitter. So check them out. Click that link in the description. There's Profar. I'm wearing the Mr. Relevant shirt right now. There's Profar, Merrill, a lot of different stuff there with Breaking Tea. Underdog Fantasy, you will be able to claim a special pick and 50% deposit match up to $250 when you use my code Talking Friars. Click that link in the description. And then SeatGeek, code Talking Friars, $20 off your order. Yes, I will put the link in. Again, I for those that are kind of just tuning in or new, I used to pin it up at the top of the chat for the live audience, but then there were a couple of dummies that came in and were trolling and being inappropriate. So that's why I stopped doing it. But I just put the link in there for the live audience, for those that want to join and actually talk about the Padres. But yeah, this was Kevin's article here about Joe and the bullpen that he threw. Joe Musgrove sent ripples of excitement through the organization with his latest bullpen session Wednesday at Nationals Park. He threw more than 40 pitches at full intensity for a bullpen session, sitting down for a time in the middle to simulate throwing multiple innings. He got up to 93 with his fastball, used his entire arsenal. The internal discussion set for Thursday is whether his next step will still be to face hitters at Petco early in the week or progress to pitching an inning in a minor league rehab start. Musgrove said, I prefer the game for a lot of reasons. So for me, I see progress to pitching an inning in a minor league rehab start. For me, that's not worth it. I'm not Joe Musgrove. I don't know what goes into those rehab starts fully and why he would rather have an inning in a minor league rehab start than just to throw at Petco Park and keep building up. If I'm going to go up for a rehab start to Lake Elsinore or something, I want to throw like 4 innings, and then build up. Why would I go to a rehab start to throw 1 inning? Progress to pitching an inning in a minor league rehab start? For me, the timeline here, it talks about pitching in a rehab game, he says, cuts a week off the timeline for his return. He also relishes the game intensity. That's totally fair. I understand he's a competitor. I know it's not the same, but you can compete against Tyler Wade in a live BP session, right, at Petco, and have, Ruben watching, everyone watching to keep an eye on you, and you can build up there. An inning for minor league rehab start, I don't know. I just probably wouldn't think that that's like worth it. He could throw a minor league rehab start and then throw 25 pitches in the bullpen after, I guess. I trust Joe. I'm just saying. I'm trying to be cautious here. I don't want things to be rushed here, especially when the starting pitching is pitching well like this, and they're 5 games over 500. Joe Musgrove is a guy that we need in the rotation come postseason time. I want Joe Musgrove taking the ball. I don't want Joe Musgrove hurt. That's all. I'm trying to really watch out for him. Not that I have any influence on what's happening, but just saying. But yeah, according to Kevin, sent ripples of excitement, Joe did, through the organization with his latest bullpen session Wednesday at Nationals Park. Hasn't pitched since May 26th, recurrence of elbow discomfort caused by bone spurs and a bone bruise. I don't know if surgery is going to happen at some point. Now's not the time, obviously. But again, like when you think back to what happened, elbow discomfort, bone spurs, bone bruise, those don't, I don't think make anyone like, oh yeah, that's encouraging. I think that a lot of us they just want to be cautious. We want to be cautious with Joe. That's all. But it seems like there's some positive developments happening there. All right. Let's go through the chat. Happy Thursday. G-Money says, what a day to be a Padres fan. Like I've said before, this team is special. Peter would be proud. This just feels like our year. 22 felt a little bit like that. This year, yes, there are definitely things that are happening where it feels like it's our year. Now, what does that mean? To the degree, like, what is our year? Does it mean, like, go on a run like 22? Does it mean to the World Series, win it? I'm not going to go that far because it just hasn't happened in our franchise's history. But it feels like, yes, postseason and they can go on a run. It does feel like that, yes. JK says, what's good, Ben? Hope you're having a fantastic no-hit Thursday. What day of the week was Joe Musgrove's no-hitter? I forget. Yeah, no-hit Thursday, though. Sounds pretty good. What's up, David? How's it going, man?
It's going well, bro. I mean, the no-hitter, amazing. On my heartbeat was, like, intensifying with every pitch because I was super scared. And my dad was texting. He was like, relax. He's not a Padres fan. He doesn't understand. And Oh, it was just amazing. There's a reason why he's my favorite pitcher, especially because he's on our team. I mean, the way I dream of making it to the major leagues and just throwing no hitters and throwing gems, and he just threw a no hitter, which is the hardest thing to do as a pitcher because the
Yeah,
major leagues are so hard.
yeah. I mean, I was listening to I think it was Gwen and Chris when I was working today, and they were talking about like which was the better no hitter, Musgrove or Cease, and for me, it's Musgrove. It was the first one, and it was almost a perfect game. He didn't walk anyone. He hit one batter. I think it was Gallo on a breaking ball. Um, Cease walked some guys. For me, it's Musgrove, but like it's not to diminish Cease. But no, I mean to have Cease and Musgrove, it's not like it was a pitcher that we don't like. I think as a fan base, we love Dylan Cease. We obviously love Joe Musgrove. So yeah, I was super pumped that Dylan got this, especially when he came so close with the White Sox. And so for it to happen with the Padres, with Arise being his teammate after he broke up one of Cease's previously, it's cool.
Yeah, I was scared when the rain delay happened. I was kind of scared that he wasn't even going to pitch, but then I realized he hadn't actually like thrown
Yeah.
yet, so he probably still could have just like warmed up his arm again because it wasn't going to be like Patrick Corbin like in the middle of a start.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They kind of screwed Patrick Corbin, and Corbin wasn't happy. He was talking to, I think it was Adrian Johnson out there at second when that was happening. Like it's middle of a count, I think it was 2 outs, bases loaded. Like, come on, we can't wait. But yeah, I mean, during the rain delay, I imagine Cease, not knowing how long it probably was going to be, he probably didn't do a whole lot for the first like half hour. But once there was an estimate, throw underneath, ride the bike, stay a little bit active, don't overwork yourself. And obviously, it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, and then backtracking to the second game, I was actually out, so I couldn't watch the first part of the game. So I was like, oh, okay, the Padres probably like maybe winning, maybe it's tied. And then I check and it's 11-12 to 3. And I'm like, what happened? And then I
Yeah.
go back and look at the log score and we score 4 and 5 and 3. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I had kind of the same experience as you. Like, I looked while I was watching the beginning, and then it was like probably a couple hours later, I looked at the score and I'm like, holy cow, 12 runs that they put up. And so, yeah, I mean, that was a pretty smooth, fun win if you were watching that game for sure.
Yeah. And then the first game, I mean, it was just a solid win. I mean, that's the textbook, shut the opponent out, you score a few runs, you win the game.
Yeah. Again, like I said earlier, you're right. It was one of those, like you hope that happens pretty much every day. Quality start from your starter. Offense has some power, although it was unexpected from Arise, but offense has some power. Your high leverage relievers don't give up anything really, and you just get the nice shutout win. I was wondering if Suarez pitching in that 4-run game was going to have an effect in the series, but obviously it didn't because they blow out the Nats the next game. And then obviously what happened today, Suarez gets plenty of rest before this Baltimore series, which is great. I mean, it's win-wins. It's a bunch of wins all around. It's not just winning on the field, but then wins as well in smaller things about guys' availabilities for Baltimore.
Yeah. And I was actually looking. I was on the MLB app. And, if you have it, it shows you like some storylines and stuff from your favorite team. And I saw there was an article from the Athletic saying that the Padres were connected to Jameson Taillon. Taillon, how you pronounce? I forgot to pronounce his last name. Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I saw it was Yankees, Astros, Dodgers, maybe. I thought that's what I saw.
Yeah, I read the story, and you're right. Those teams, but it also said the Padres were linked to it. I don't know how much of a reality that would be, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't think so because his contract, I think it's 18 mil the next couple of years. The Cubs could eat some of that, but I think, to be honest, especially for next year too, the Padres pitching, sure, you're going to go get depth guys on 1-year deals, but do you need to add Jameson Taillon for 18 mil a year if that's what it is? I don't have it right in front of me, but let's say it's that. Do you need to do that when you have Musgrove, you have Darvish under control, you have Cease still, you have King still, you have Waldron, and then hopefully Snelling or Lesko, if they're here still in the organization, one of them will be able to come up. Hopefully Vasquez, Burrito can be healthy if they're going to still be in the organization. Whatever depth guys the Padres get, because you can never have enough pitching. Part of it is the same thing with Garrett Crochet, and the reports that came out about him not wanting to go to the bullpen, and then he's going to need an extension to pitch in the postseason for him to be a starter in the postseason for a team that he gets traded to. Like, that's someone I don't want on my team. I want someone that is happy to not be on the White Sox, someone that is just wants to win and is willing to do whatever it takes to win. I get it. He has to protect himself personally, but that's just not – that gives me hater vibes. I don't want that guy on my team if that's true. I just don't feel a big need to trade a bunch, give up a bunch to go get someone like Tyone or Crochet or Scooble. Yeah, you want to improve like back-end depth guys, which is reportedly what the Padres are targeting, but I don't think this is the deadline to go make a huge splash. I mean, the huge splash was Dylan Cease, starting pitching-wise. We already did it. That was a deadline addition. It just happened before the season really started.
Yeah. And I also saw that the D-backs traded for AJ Puck, which I thought was interesting because they can make a push, but I think they're like only a couple games or a game out of the wild card, and I think they're either around 500 or maybe one game under. I'm not exactly sure, but that's an interesting move.
Yeah, I did not see the exact return. Hang on, I'll look that up right now.
Yeah,
the exact return, but there were some prospects in there.
Yeah, I think it was a number 15 and number 30.
Here it is. Andrew Pintar and Davison de los Santos for AJ Puck. That's it. Yeah, so that was a name. I think that was listed by Passan earlier in the week about someone that was available. It would have been an intriguing guy for the Padres to add. I think those are two guys that are prospects, right? I'm not 100% sure. But if those are two prospects, so let's say that's what it will take for a reliever like that, the Padres can get that done. To get a fourth, I think you'd put Puck in that category. Maybe not in front of, definitely not in front of Estrada Suarez, but someone like that, the Padres can get that done. And sure, we want a depth starter, but they can do both. They still have talent in the farm system. If people are saying out there that there's nothing left, I disagree. There's less left, but there's still stuff out there that other teams would want.
Yeah. And so I live on the East Coast, and my dad's a Tigers fan, and he always gets he kind of gives me looks sometimes when I'm talking about the Padres and stuff. And I was telling him, like, we're not gonna trade for Screwball or your pitchers like that. Maybe Jack Flaherty, but not really like a Screwball type, because he was like, I want all the top prospects, and I told him that we're probably not gonna give that up. So I don't think we're gonna get Screwball.
Yeah, no, I don't even know if any team's gonna get Screwball, because it feels like the Tigers are asking for so much for him. And the Padres, they're not giving up Debris. They're not giving up Salas. Those guys are off limits. Passan's already said it. Multiple people have already said it. So, yeah, I don't think Padres fans should get your hopes up on getting a big guy like Garrett Crochet or Scooble. I don't even know if they're going to get someone like Jack Flaherty, to be honest, because I think Flaherty's going to be pretty coveted. So, for me, it's more of like the Eric Fetty range. Maybe someone like a Tyler Anderson or Andrew Heaney, more like someone that could be a back end, better than Randy Vasquez, slotting in like that 4 or 5 spot when Musgrove returns, and then that allows you to have Vasquez be depth.
Yeah, I mean, we basically spent all of our points on Cease and Arise, and now it's time to get you the smaller prizes that'll help us get past and get through.
Yep. Yeah, but like there's still talent in this Padres farm system. It seems like every year there's talent that other teams want, which it's something that we got to give props to AJ for.
Yeah, and I went to the first Guardians game, and of course that's the only game that we lose.
Yeah.
And I
my
was so
lord.
disappointed. My dad was like, "I'm so sorry. We were on vacation and your team lost." I'm like, "It's okay." And then we win the next 5, and I'm like, "It's not okay anymore." I wanted to watch us win.
Yeah. Well, you're watching it now from home, and 5 games over 500. I mean, it's pretty. Maybe the World Series will come to Cleveland. We'll see.
Maybe.
All right, David. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Getting back to the chat, a fun night here for Padres fans after Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter, second in franchise history. Padres sweep the Nats, not just this series, but the entire season series, because Nats aren't making the postseason. Yuki says he would trade Ethan Salas for Garrett Crochet. I would not. No way. Chad says no hitter for episode 619. More proof we were living in a simulation. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's the San Diego area code, my area code. Maybe some others are 858, but I think a lot of people's area code. And Cease throws a no hitter. It's awesome. Chad says, I know there's a lot of games left, but could you imagine if the Braves continue to collapse and miss the postseason? That would be crazy. Yeah, I don't see that happening. But they do have injuries, right? Freed's out, I think. Albies, Acuna, Strider, right? They're facing some injuries, but I don't think this is a year, if you're the Braves, that you punt. I don't think it's a year that you go all in. But they still got a lot of talent there. Maybe I'm falling into the trap with the Braves of last year with the Padres. Like, there's too much talent for them to miss the postseason. So they could be that this year, but I still see the Braves making it. Let's see. Jennifer says the baseball god shined on us today. Compete for Pete. Yeah, Peter Seidler, I hope he is smiling big ear to ear today with what happened. I hope he's smiling ear to ear just from what he's seeing from this Padres team. The fight that they have. I wish this team was last year's team, knowing that it was Peter's last year with us. Because that's the team that Peter deserved to watch in his last year with us. He didn't deserve to be watching last year's team admitting to quitting and guys worried about their personal situation more than the team. No, he deserved this team. He deserved to have Jackson Merrill, to watch Jackson Merrill, a lot as he's alive with us. That's what he deserved. He deserved to have Jurickson Profar have this all-star season and have Dylan Cease and Luis Ariz, guys that want to win with the Padres, That's what he deserved. So hopefully he's smiling big for sure. Yeah, Cal Quantrill. That's another one. Jennifer mentions Cal's name. Yeah, him. Man, he went viral the other day, right? That benches clearing with the Red Sox, the lip reading. He's got the fire in him. He wants to win. So maybe there's a Cal Quantrill reunion. We'll see. Anything else that I missed here? I don't think so. Musgrove update, hit on Solano, hit on this series. Coming up against Baltimore, the starting pitchers have been named. It's going to be Adam Major Friday night, 4:05 against Grayson Rodriguez. And then Saturday is Michael King against, I think, Dean Kramer. That is at 1:05. And then Sunday, to be determined for the Baltimore Orioles. I think Sunday starter has been named, though. King, it would be Vasquez, right? I think. Or would it be Waldron? Might be Waldron. Someone had the tweet. Maybe Sammy Levitt had the tweet. I saw it earlier today. Yeah, Vasquez on Sunday. Major tomorrow, King Saturday, Vasquez Sunday. This should be a fun series. Baltimore Orioles right now 61-41. Padres not 20 games over 500. But both teams have a lot of talent. Both teams have some exciting young talent. Orioles with Gunnar Henderson. And it's not just that. There's Kierstad and Colton Cowser. They've got guys. And then Adley, but I was more trying to focus on rookies. And then with the Padres, obviously, with Jackson Merrill. So should be a fun series. And it's already a successful road trip. If they get swept by the Orioles, it's still a winning road trip. I guess that's the only situation where I would be like pretty bummed out, even if it was still a winning road trip, just because of how it started. But right now, I mean, it's already a successful road trip, assuming they don't get swept. Sweeping the Nats, you take 2 out of 3 against one of the best teams in baseball to start off your, post All-Star break stretch run. We're pretty good. We're living pretty good right now, Padres fans. I know we'd love to be like winning the NL West, best team in baseball, all that, but what matters to me is they get in, and they're playing good enough baseball right now to get in. We'll see what happens with injuries and consistency, but yeah, that's what I got. Great day, Padres, no hitter, sweep, great night, man. That was me watching that no-hitter, by the way, last 30 seconds of the show here. Watching that no-hitter, I got that going on. Watching the U.S. in the Olympics, up 3-0 at halftime against Zambia. It was a heck of a sports midday there, for sure. All right, everybody. Thanks for the time. Have a great rest of your night. See ya.